It was a late autumn evening, the air crisp and charged with a subtle unease as I found myself standing in the dimly lit corridor of an old estate. The setting was a mansion with a storied history, nestled far from the bustling city. The walls, adorned with portraits of long-forgotten faces, whispered tales of a bygone era. As a seasoned paranormal investigator, I prided myself on confronting the supernatural with unyielding skepticism. Little did I know that the chilling encounter awaiting me that night would test the very limits of my convictions. The clock struck midnight when I entered a room tucked away at the end of the corridor. A singular painting, framed in ornate gold, hung ominously on the wall. The subject, a figure shrouded in an ethereal mist, stared out with eyes that seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality. I sensed an otherworldly presence, an energy that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't tear my gaze away from those unsettling eyes, frozen in a perpetual gaze that transcended the boundaries of paint and canvas. As I stood there, attempting to unravel the mystery veiled within the strokes of the artist's brush, an inexplicable force seemed to draw me closer. The room, once silent, echoed with a distant murmur that grew louder with each passing moment. It was as if the very walls whispered secrets of the afterlife, secrets that only the haunted painting could unveil. I hesitated but pressed on, determined to unravel the enigma that held me captive. Night after night, I returned to that room, unable to resist the gravitational pull of the haunted artwork. The eyes of the painted figures seemed to follow my every move, an unsettling presence that seeped into my waking hours and invaded my dreams. I could feel the weight of an impending doom, a sense of foreboding that mirrored the ghastly tale unfolding before me. The canvas became a portal to a twisted reflection of my own life, a macabre narrative painted with strokes of supernatural dread. Scenes from my past, present, and an ominous future played out in haunting detail. It was as though the painting fed off the essence of my existence, weaving a tapestry of horror that tightened its grip on my soul. As I delved deeper into the mysteries of the estate, I discovered the tragic history that bound the haunted painting to the mansion. A tale of love betrayed, a life cut short, and a restless spirit seeking retribution. The painting became a vessel for the tortured soul, a medium through which the spirit communicated its anguish. With each passing day, the boundary between the spectral realm and my reality blurred. Shadows danced along the edges of my perception, and whispers grew into tortured wails that echoed in the corridors. The haunted painting had become a conduit for the supernatural, a bridge between worlds that threatened to consume me whole. I grappled with the torment, a descent into a nightmarish reality that defied all reason. The mansion's once grand halls now echoed with the anguished cries of a spirit trapped between life and death. I, too, teetered on the precipice of an abyss, unsure if the painted figure sought my salvation or my eternal damnation. In the dead of night, as the clock struck 12 once more, I stood before the haunted painting, its eyes burning into my very soul. The room pulsed with a malevolent energy, and I felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon me. The spectral narrative reached its climax, and the line between the living and the dead blurred into a surreal tableau of horror. In that moment, I realized the true nature of the haunted painting. It was a mirror reflecting not only the supernatural but the darkest recesses of my own fears. The figure on the canvas was a manifestation of my inner demons, a macabre self-portrait that forced me to confront the shadows that lurked within. As the first light of dawn broke, dispelling the haunting darkness that clung to the mansion, I emerged from the ordeal forever changed. The haunted painting, though a relic of the supernatural, had become a vessel for my own introspection. The echoes of that night continued to reverberate in the chambers of my mind, a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying specters are the ones we carry within ourselves. It was a desolate evening, the sun sinking beneath the gnarled branches of the ancient forest, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with an eerie rhythm. I found myself alone in the heart of the woods, a place where nature held its breath, and an ominous stillness hung heavy in the air. As twilight descended, a mysterious fog slithered through the trees, silent and insidious. The thick mist wrapped around the gnarled trunks like ghostly fingers, veiling the landscape in an impenetrable shroud. The forest, once familiar, now transformed into an enigmatic realm where reality blurred and the unseen lurked. Whispers, like the distant sighs of long-forgotten souls, reverberated through the fog. Unintelligible voices carried on the breeze, haunting and melancholic. I hesitated, my senses on high alert as I navigated through the ethereal labyrinth of twisted branches and hidden dangers. It was then that I stumbled upon an ancient tombstone, withered and worn by the passage of time. The inscription, faded but still discernible, spoke of a soul lost to the ages, an echo from a bygone era. As my fingers grazed the cold, moss-covered surface, a shiver ran down my spine, and I felt the weight of centuries bearing down on me. The fog thickened around the tombstone, swirling with a spectral energy that seemed to transcend the boundaries of the natural world. The air grew colder, and an unseen force tugged at the fabric of my being. I realized I was no longer alone. The desolate forest held secrets that reached beyond the grasp of mortal understanding. As the fog congealed into ghostly tendrils, I sensed the presence of something ancient awakening. It was a force that slumbered for eons, undisturbed until this fateful night. The air crackled with an electric charge, and the forest itself seemed to pulse with a heartbeat of its own, a heartbeat synced with the rhythm of an ageless malevolence. A foreboding awareness settled over me as the unseen horrors concealed within the fog crept closer, their intentions veiled in the ethereal mist. Shadows moved at the periphery of my vision, and the whispers intensified into a haunting chorus that echoed through the haunted grove. I felt like a trespasser in a realm where the living were unwelcome. The tombstone, a focal point of the supernatural convergence, became a conduit for the ancient entity's power. The inscriptions glowed with an otherworldly light, revealing cryptic symbols that spoke of forgotten rites and arcane rituals. It was a language woven into the fabric of the occult, a communication that transcended spoken words. In that moment, I realized I had unwittingly become a pawn in a cosmic game played by forces beyond mortal comprehension. The ancient entity, awakened from its slumber, saw a vessel through which to manifest its ancient wrath. I, the unwitting wanderer, stood on the precipice of an abyss, a mere mortal caught in the crossfire of an ageless struggle. As the fog thickened and the whispers crescendoed, I felt the ancient entity's hunger for a new victim, an insatiable craving that reached into the depths of my soul. I struggled against the unseen forces, my every step burdened by an invisible weight that sought to drag me into the abyss. With each heartbeat, the forest pulsed in tandem with the awakening entity, and the tombstone became a beacon drawing me closer to an unavoidable fate. The boundary between the living and the spectral blurred, and I became entangled in a dance with an ancient force that defied the laws of nature. In the final moments before the entity claimed its next victim, the fog dissipated, revealing the desolate forest in the stark light of dawn. The tombstone stood silent and motionless, its secrets buried once more beneath the veil of the mundane. I emerged from the ethereal realm, forever marked by the harrowing encounter with the ancient entity, a tale of a desolate forest, a mysterious fog, and the relentless pursuit of an insatiable force that transcended the boundaries of time itself. It was on an overcast afternoon that I stumbled upon a dilapidated dollhouse in a dimly lit corner of a flea market, a seemingly innocuous relic of the past that would soon become the harbinger of my darkest nightmares. The miniature structure, weathered and forgotten, called out to me with an unsettling allure that I couldn't ignore. As I examined the tiny rooms and fragile furniture within the dollhouse, an inexplicable connection formed. The miniature world seemed to echo with a peculiar resonance, and an unsettling familiarity tugged at the recesses of my subconscious. Ignoring the subtle unease, I purchased the dollhouse, oblivious to the spectral forces that lay dormant within its fragile walls. Upon bringing the dollhouse home, I couldn't resist the urge to rearrange the miniature furniture. The quaint rooms became a canvas for my creativity, a mirror of my own living space and an eerily accurate reflection. As I meticulously arranged the tiny chairs and tables, an unsettling sensation lingered in the air, as if the dollhouse held secrets waiting to be unveiled. Night after night, a surreal transformation unfolded within the miniature world. The dolls, frozen in porcelain poses, defied the laws of inanimate objects. Their movements became a spectral dance, a haunting recreation of scenes that mirrored my own life. I witnessed the diminutive figures shifting positions, their tiny hands reaching out in an uncanny semblance of life. The miniature rooms within the dollhouse transformed into a stage for a macabre drama, each night unveiling a haunting scene that foreshadowed events in my waking reality. The dolls, once quaint representations of a bygone era, now became vessels for an otherworldly force that transcended the boundaries between the tangible and the supernatural. The haunting scenes played out with eerie accuracy. A miniature version of my living room depicted an unsettling premonition of a forthcoming visitor, and the dollhouse bedroom mirrored a nightmarish vision of my own restless sleep. The dolls, mere conduits for the spectral energy that imbued them, moved with purpose, as if guided by an unseen hand orchestrating a malevolent symphony. Fear gripped me as I realized the dollhouse was not a mere plaything but a portal to a realm beyond comprehension. The boundary between the miniature world and my own reality blurred, and I became entangled in a nightmarish dance with forces beyond my control. The dollhouse had become a harbinger of my impending demise, a conduit through which the supernatural whispered its foreboding secrets. As I confronted the spectral manifestations within the dollhouse, the line between observer and participant blurred. The haunting scenes unfolded with relentless precision, each night bringing me closer to a fate sealed within the fragile confines of the miniature structure. The dolls, once charming in their diminutive form, now cast looming shadows that stretched far beyond the limits of their porcelain frames. In the heart of the night, as the dollhouse creaked with an otherworldly energy, I understood that I was trapped in a cosmic play scripted by forces that defy mortal understanding. The haunting scenes within the miniature world had become a grotesque tableau foretelling my inevitable demise, a fate woven into the very fabric of the dollhouse's haunted history. With trepidation, I attempted to sever the connection between the miniature world and my own, but the spectral forces resisted my every effort. The dollhouse, an artifact of the supernatural, held sway over my destiny, and its haunting scenes continued to unfold with an inexorable march toward an unavoidable conclusion. As the shadows deepened and the dolls within the haunted dollhouse moved in sinister unison, I stood at the precipice of a fate entwined with the macabre forces that had been unleashed. The dilapidated dollhouse, once an innocent relic of the past, had become a vessel for the spectral, a conduit through which my own demise played out in chilling detail, a haunting tale of a miniature world that mirrored the horrors of my reality.